Ah, the holidays. The weather is like magic, and the air is buzzing with excitement as Christmas draws near, and we all get to spend time with our loved ones. The birds are singing, and who am I kidding? Christmas sucks. At least as an adult, it kind of does. That innocent interpretation of it we had in our youth slowly fades away as we grow older, and we realize that the weather is in fact just miserable.
It's the most wonderful.
And the thought of spending time with people you have little to nothing in common with can be a frightening one. Of course, the scariest thing about Christmas will always be hearing Mariah Carey anytime you need to leave your damn house. But the one kernel of Christmas spirit that I have left is found in movies.
Ho, ho, ho.
I have my personal favorites, but I'll admit most aren't traditional Christmas movies.
I'm sorry.
As you guys know, I've always been especially fond of the horror genre, and unfortunately there aren't many to choose from when it comes to truly capturing that Christmas feeling while also being horrifying. But there is one movie that finds the balance with that childlike spirit of the holidays while still shining a light on the more cynical version of it we all know as adults. All with a horror edge, of course. Why, it's Krampus! And with the holidays creeping closer and the Scream Factory naughty cut that was recently released, I thought it would be a perfect time to revisit this movie for my next retrospective. So, grab some eggnog and insert other Christmas reference here. It's time to revisit Michael Dougherty's Krampus. So Krampus takes place in my neighboring state of Ohio and follows Max, a young boy that loses his Christmas spirit when his squabbling family visits home for the holidays. A nasty snowstorm knocks out the power and isolates the family just before some supernatural shenanigans take place. The movie is probably best described as a PG-13 gateway horror film. A similar movie would be something like The Gate, or if you want to stick with the Christmas backdrop, there's always Gremlins. These movies have horror elements, but aren't going to have die-hard horror fans squirming or anything. Except maybe The Gate. That movie had some actual creepy shit. But for the most part, they're perfect for kids that are just getting into the genre for the first time. Krampus is a very tongue-in-cheek kind of movie with comedic elements throughout. This is mostly shouldered by David Koechner, Adam Scott, and Conchata Ferrell, but I wouldn't really call Krampus an outright horror comedy like Shaun of the Dead is. I think what makes Krampus feel like it's in a genre of its own is that it's really a solid Christmas movie first. I mean, sure, it has children being eaten by slug monsters, but it's bookended with some genuine Christmas vibes that hit the same sentimental notes as something like Miracle on 34th Street or It's a Wonderful Life does. Other than a few hints at the horror to come and the perfectly cynical look at the holiday shopping in the intro, the film operates like a traditional Christmas movie for the first act. During the first 15 minutes or so, the characters are introduced and they all kind of feel tropey. The movie is super saturated and glossy looking like a traditional holiday dramedy would be. But as the horror elements are introduced, the saturated colors fade, and the color grading shifts to a colder look with a lot of grays and blues. Our tropey characters that we thought we had figured out start to reveal more layers as the movie goes along, and they feel three-dimensional by the end. It's a movie that starts out as one thing and then suddenly shifts into a whole other world, becoming something totally different. The movie feels a lot like a dark fable, and I love it. I love the family dynamic. The film leans into those tropey characters to explore something a little deeper. The dialogue has a pretty natural feel to it for the most part, and there are a lot of small details packed into each line that inform us on each character and their strained relationships. There's also a lot that gets communicated through a simple look or an action a character might do, like Toni Collette in this scene here. I mean, goddamn, I love Toni Collette, and I will watch her in anything she does. By the way, this is the second time I've seen her have a traumatic fireplace scene. Please let me know if this is a reoccurring thing in her career, thank you. Anyway, she was great, and I thought all of the performances in this movie were solid. The film moves at a great pace, though if you're not into the characters and you just want to see the horror stuff, I can see us differing on that, as things do slow down a bit to let the characters unfold during the second act. Another thing that might bog it down for some is that it's kind of a bottle film. Our characters spend most of the runtime in their house as they defend themselves from all of the creatures Krampus has sent them. It didn't bother me because I was engaged with the characters, plus there are some pretty fun little set pieces throughout to break it up a bit, like when Tom and Howard go out into the storm farm to search for Beth, or of course the toys in the attic scene, which was just a lot of fun, and brings me to my next thing that I really love about this movie. A large portion of it was done in camera. The set design for this movie is incredible. Everything you're seeing here is actually an indoor set. They used a lot of old school trickery like forced perspective to make it all look believable. The fake snow is made from the same stuff as diapers, apparently. Most of the creatures are puppets, including Krampus himself, but there is also some really good and sometimes very subtle VFX work done by Weta Digital, the team behind giant movies like Avatar or The Avengers. And the thing that blew my mind when researching for this review is that this is just a $15 million movie. Adjusted for inflation, that's still just $17.5 million. For a movie that feels so big with its casting and effects, it has an incredibly small budget. And that's all thanks to clever filmmaking done by director Michael Dougherty and his team. I mean, think of a horror movie today that could take place in a single location with an emphasis on great set design that makes use of simple, practical effects with a small ensemble cast. And it's probably impossible, but luckily back in 2015, this team had the talent to pull it off. There's so much detail and thought put behind every decision. It's even more impressive considering its PG-13 rating. I've seen enough shitty PG-13 horror movies to know that kills are often bland, boring, and lazy. They usually have to happen off screen because they can't show much violence or gore. Instead of looking at this like a burden, this movie took it as an opportunity to be more creative. They take the time to build the suspense and tension before showing us the creatures, and then they pay it off in a really smart way. There are kills that happen off screen, but it's never just a toss away moment. The first kill, for example, sets up our Jack-in-the-Box creature. Its kill happens off screen, but it takes the time to set it up, and it uses the opportunity to tell a story within the story. Later, when we see this creature again in the attic, it's gotten much bigger, presumably from eating Beth and Jordan. It's that attention to detail like this that makes me really appreciate this movie more and more with each viewing. Not only is this movie a seamless blend of multiple genres that nails its theme and characters by the end, but it also demonstrates a really astute understanding of filmmaking and feels like a celebration of things that make movies so great.
Merry Christmas! I spat on myself.
Oh, I love it.
You can really tell that the filmmakers are just having a great time and expressing themselves making this movie. And all of that stuff is great, but I haven't even mentioned my favorite thing about this film yet.
Merry Christmas. Sign here.
Yeah. Wow.
Krampus was the first movie I watched with my dumpy surround setup about 3 years ago, and to this day it is still the best sounding film I have watched with them. I'm not usually one to notice the sound design unless it's really bad, or if I'm watching a David Lynch film or something and it's like really effective.
30 years. I've seen this neighborhood change from pastures to the hellhole it is now. I put every damn pipe in this neighborhood.
So I was kind of just surprised by this movie. I've seen it a total of 4 times now, and each time I watched it with a different setup. TV speakers, headphones, or surround sound, this movie sounds incredible. The Foley work is perfect, and everything is mixed with a purpose behind it. And I think that's great because good sound is especially important in horror. And I've definitely seen some horror movies with really bad sound. So hearing this robust sound design that ranges from loud and bombastic slapstick Looney Tunes shit to haunting and quiet creaks and bumps in the night, it's just great. In case it isn't clear, I love this movie. Before I go, I wanted to touch on the ending, so... At the end of the film, Max confronts Krampus. He tells him that he takes back his wish to have his family disappear. Krampus laughs in his face and throws him into hell, but Max wakes up to find that things have returned to normal. Or have they? Was it all a dream? If so, why does everyone else remember it too? Did they all learn the meaning of Christmas, or are their souls actually all trapped in a snow globe for all of eternity? I always saw the ending in the more optimistic way, that Max had completed his arc by putting his family above himself when he offered his own life for theirs, something that his grandmother did not do. So by learning from the past, his love for his family and Christmas are restored, along with his imagination, which is something you'd see in a more traditional holiday movie. Of course, Krampus isn't exactly your traditional holiday movie, and the ending is definitely up for debate, but I think the ending is pretty awesome no matter how you interpret it, which is what makes it so great. But if you've seen Krampus, I want to know how you saw that ending. If you haven't seen Krampus, I fully recommend it. The Naughty Cut just came out. It has a little bit of additional footage, nothing major, and it has some more curse words in it, but other than that, it's mostly the same movie. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and leave a like if you enjoyed the review. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. Bye!